Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have a little bit of bad news, I would say, when it comes to the overall #1 world in terms of supply, in terms of just stock, in terms of cargo, in terms of everything, but as well, especially, as you guys know, we track a lot of the restocks, PlayStation, Xbox, GPU, Switches, whatever, restocks on the channel itself. So we actually have a very, very big amount of increasing worrisomeness when it comes to production, and when it comes to the outsourcing, just basically exporting of all the various goods that have actually been produced in general. Now, as you guys know, the entire world is basically topsy-turvy and there's issues everywhere, but I kind of feel like we haven't really talked about this one in general, and it does kind of keep on coming in a little bit more and more and more into the news, and I figured maybe now is kind of a good time to talk about it, because it does actually now seem that we're seeing other big major businesses being affected by this as well. So I want to talk about this especially mainly because I just already know, and this already is probably impacting a lot of restocks, and also would probably explain a lot of the times too, why, at least for the PlayStation 5s especially, why they've been a little bit more on the lackluster side, and just even for the Xboxes too, how we might even see a little bit more issues throughout these next few months. Although, before we fully dive in the video, always a reminder, when it comes to these big companies, there is still production in other countries, there's also production throughout the entire world, there is still going to be, even though slower, production too on top of that, and basically it's not the end of the world. Although, well, it's not good news, thankfully, the world still kind of goes on. I'm sure you guys know, the world keeps on spinning. So if any of you guys are brand new, before we fully dive on in, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 Digital Console controller, and the Twitter and Twitch stream down below. And let's go and dive with the video itself. So, in case you guys are kind of curious on this one involves a specific country that's kind of always in the news too as well, kind of like America. And it's also one of the bigger and, well, probably the biggest producer of products in general. So let's go and talk about this. Like I said, not the best news going on over here. But for this, we are now once again, we're kind of political talk aside, I'm just going to more so focus purely more on the actual facts and consoles and all of that. China is once again going back on another round of lockdowns, and at least for in this one too, I'm going to be showcasing more of an iPhone plan too as well, just to show it is affecting electronics, is affecting consumer goods, is affecting production, etc., etc. I'm sure you can probably go and find any other various type of article too as well tied on in. Just more of a really rough reference too, because also I'm sure people care about phones too on top of that. So, not fun news, as the number of cases of COVID, which, funny enough, I'm not hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not saying nothing. You guys do vax or not vax, whatever you guys are doing, I'm not saying nothing. But when it comes to COVID is still technically ongoing, especially more for all the other various regions. And the one big news on this is, although it does seem like America pretty much has their stuff all kind of rolling and going, and a lot of people are back to normal, even here in Illinois, there's no mask mandates and stuff. People are walking around without masks and all that stuff. And vaccine rates are very good, all that stuff. The big thing is when it comes to China kind of had a little bit more of a issue. So first and foremost, if you guys kind of remember, and this is kind of just me speculating and guessing, this could be completely wrong too as well. A lot of when it comes to China, as you guys remember, they were very hardcore on lockdowns and the first initial screenings of all this stuff when it first kind of started happening, and they were contact tracing, they were they were very, very closely and very, very on top of that stuff, which I do want to say I think maybe kind of somewhat elongated their overall expectation when it comes to COVID. This is I'm not a smart person, I'm just talking about restocks, but it does kind of seem a lot of even for in America, a lot of folks had a chance to have at least some sort of variant with it, or as well also the vaccines too on top of it. So just for the general spread of it, people get natural immunity, people go get vaccine immunity, and you can kind of move on because you get it. We had a really big influx and really kind of big stuff. We didn't have a thirdary lockdown or whatever, but China never really had that. China mind themselves try to be very hardcore on lockdown. But that, I believe these past few months especially, we haven't really talked about on the channel too much, has kind of been bad. Because as you guys know, if basically no one gets sick, and then the future on, everyone gets sick, it kind of obviously just kind of spreads. It's whenever you have a cold floating around too, it just happens. You just haven't had one in a while, you're gonna get it. Not to compare it to a cold. It's always scary to make these types of videos when it comes to stuff. But basically, anyway, China itself has been way more heavily affected as of these past few months especially, and they've been getting back on the lockdown side, mainly because of COVID and all that type of stuff being spread. It's just news. It's just what's going on. That's at least what the Chinese government's saying. Oh, the people are doing it, whatever. It's always scary to make these videos, like I said, because whatever side you are, I don't care. It's not a big deal. Just at the end of the day, they're back in lockdowns. They have been back in lockdowns in other cities as well. So it's not just, one main pure city. they've all been kind of slowly getting back into lockdown. And as you guys know, when it comes to lockdowns in general, that means that they have less people working. That means a lot of factories have to be shut down. When it comes to exports themselves, you also have less people working there. You have more like rigorous types of screening. You have to have a lot more testing, and basically everything kind of slogs a little bit more because you just have less workers. You have supply not moving. You have things you have to double check. You have to sanitize things more. And also sometimes you're just out of work for 2 weeks because you have to do it. Or if there's an outbreak or whatever, you have to kind of do it. I'm sure you guys know I'm kind of the vibes I'm going for because it's been going on for here the past 2 years or so. So it's kind of leads into over here because there's actually a brand new lockdown even in the city of Zenzetsu, hopefully I said that right, which also puts the operations of even the main iPhone plants now at risk. And as you guys know, all the semiconductor and overall production chains have been having a lot of really big issues. And that actually might have a little bit of a combination of why everything's been so rough, because this is not a brand new thing. Probably the past 2 or 3 months, we've been just seeing a lot more of this news, a lot more of an outbreak kind of coming on out. So as reported by Bloomberg, Chinese authorities announced on Friday that areas in the Zhengzhou airport economy zone have now been immediately quarantined. So it's not quarantined. So it's not just a one household or whatever. It's a whole overall business area. And this is not just a one city place, as I mentioned. This is in other areas. So as a result, then people cannot leave their homes until further notice in this area. The report also notes that the largest iPhone factory, which is owned by Foxconn, is located in this area. The company has required staff to do mandatory COVID testing in recent days. Both Foxconn and Apple have not answered how the lockdown will affect operations. However, this is not the first time that Apple's product production has been affected by lockdowns in China this year. Last month, and that's kind of why I was mentioning before that it's still an ongoing issue, and it's not a one state or a one country part of China. It's pretty much everywhere. There's just it's just big blotching around. They're kind of basically just not really sure how to deal with it in the first place. So this is what they actually did have them also have some other production as well been affected earlier on, where Foxconn actually did go and suspend operations in Shenzhen due to another lockdown following COVID outbreak. So you guys can even see in the article itself, that's why I kind of picked this one especially, is it's also in other cities too on top of that in China. And also the Taiwanese company also has plants responsible for assembling iPhones and other products too as well. So we're just kind of seeing kind of the uptick again, which is not good, because even this, and it does affect other things, like the PlayStation, Xbox, as well, I'll probably even put in my title. Because overall, even if it doesn't one-to-one affect it, when it comes to things like, say, Apple having a lot more issues, this could also go and tie into other companies then basically having to go and basically they have to maybe go and buy or try to overprice other types of semiconductors and try to go put it to different fab and different types of plants to make and consume more products. That would affect really bad GPUs, PS5s, Xboxes, Switches. But as well on top of that too, more on the exports, because if you're exporting products, as you guys know, China makes a bajillion different products too as well, that also goes and affects basically everything slowing down. You more so have the lockdowns in the general areas, which means that people literally cannot go and move your product. You have the cargo ships potentially on lockdown too. If they get quarantined or are affected by quarantine, they can essentially maybe not even move for 2 weeks. And as you guys know, just China's all on the export. So the fact that we're having issues in multiple different cities, and this has been more of the past 2 months especially, and probably will keep on affecting these next few months. If we see more updates, we'll let you guys know. But it's just really rough. Because like I said, everything kind of affects everything. If one major, basically, area, city, place, production plant, whatever it is, it can essentially just be a massive trickle-down issue. Because even, don't forget, even other countries will also go and assemble and utilize things for the PS5 and Xbox, etc. And while maybe their factories will get shut down. Maybe their production factories get shut down. Maybe semiconductors themselves get, slogged up. Maybe people have to go expedite orders. It's just one of those, things that it's just you have 100 things trying to get into one door, and just everything goes and gets stuck. So it's really not been good news. Obviously, no one wants to keep on seeing the big, scary C word. I think a lot of people want to get on with their lives, myself included. But it is kind of a big thing to note is that other countries are going to still be affected by this, especially just depending on, how the country wants to operate or what they want to do. So it's not fun to go and see China having all these issues. It's not fun seeing a lot of just issues in general. And especially if you guys are iPhone people, first and foremost, they have a chance to lose up to 6 to 10 million iPhones. And I'm using that once again as an example to go and show that if everything kind of has like a worst case scenario, or even just impacts stuff a little bit more, that could be another few like 100,000 consoles, PS5s, Xboxes, or Switches, or GPUs. They may also have a little bit more of a slog to as well. Now, of course, there's a lot of various other stuff on like where things are produced and how their supplies are going to go and what's actually being affected. It's kind of a big open-ended thing where you could probably argue a lot of stuff on it. I just want to bring this news to it because it just kind of stinks, because we do keep on seeing more and more kind of bad news coming out from China in the good old BCOVID. So, I don't know, give me your thoughts and comments down below. It's not fun to go and see this kind of popping on up, and I figured to talk about it as well. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 Digital Console Controller, Twitter and Twitch room as well, link down below. And sign up for Webull, sign up for Coinbase, and I just appreciate you guys all so much for watching. And like I said, hopefully you guys will enjoy the rest of your day. So we'll probably have a bunch more videos all throughout today.